Hey beauty lovers and fellow entrepreneurs, I'm Yegi, the owner and founder of Yegi Beauty. Within 5 years of being my own boss, I was able to grow Yegi Beauty into a multi-million-dollar company. This podcast is where I share what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in the beauty industry. What's up, guys? I can't believe it's already November! And officially our season 4 is live today, or right now. It's the first official episode. But yeah, can you believe it? Halloween is over. We're prepping for Thanksgiving now. I still have to change our decorations and make sure we're ready for fall. Well, we are ready for fall already, but I mean, remove the scary stuff and only leave the harvesty fall stuff. Anyways, I do want to give you guys a little bit of an update. So we do officially have the yegiproject.com website up where you can book coaching sessions for business coaching. If it's a startup or if you want to grow your business, we are doing that. And also we are officially growing our services business again. We do have a location in Burbank, California, and are currently looking for beauty professionals who are licensed that want to do eyelash extensions. So if you are interested, please make sure to reach out to us on the Yegi Beauty page or even by email at info@yegibeauty.com. We are looking for someone with at least 6 months of experience that's licensed and is wanting to grow together. So for today's episode, I am interviewing Imani. It is my first time interviewing a professional model, so it is so exciting to kind of put the modeling industry with the entrepreneurial industry, actually, because initially when we think about models or professional models, we don't really think of them as entrepreneurs. But getting to know Imani, and actually I met her by having her be a model for one of our new eyelash extensions that we're going to use her photo on our website. But like I said, I met her and I was like, wow, getting to know you more, really, like being a model is being an entrepreneur. Can I please interview you? And she was like, yeah, I would love that. So here she is. We're going to talk a little bit about confidence and really getting to be comfortable with yourself in order for you to be a successful entrepreneur, how to manage yourself and your time and scheduling, because really being a model and an entrepreneur, if you are your own boss, sometimes it's a blessing and a curse because you do have to be really good at these skills like scheduling, managing your time, and finding a way to fit everything in that's important for your job and yourself. So we're going to talk about that. Anyways, and also the two different things that she tried in the modeling industry, managing herself versus being managed by an agent. And she's currently managing herself, and we'll get to kind of touch base on that. Well, let's start the episode.
Hi, my name is Imani, and I am a professional model. I also do acting, and I'm an entrepreneur.
Awesome. Yes, that covers it all, right? Initially, when people hear a professional model, they may not think how much it goes into that for you to actually be a successful professional model, right? And from what I know, and I want you to share with our listeners, I think it takes a lot of dedication and it takes a lot of self-managing and entrepreneurship for you to be successful at what you do.
Oh, yes, definitely. It does.
Can you share a little bit with how that goes for you? How do you manage your career with discipline, I guess? Because you do have to be disciplined, right? To be successful at it.
Being a model is probably one of the hardest jobs out there. And of course, I'm always up for a challenge. So I was like, let me try this out. And then I think so.
I mean, I record these podcasts and some YouTube videos here and there. And the challenging of being just in front of the camera, or it's a whole other world. So I can only imagine doing it professionally and getting paid for it, how difficult it is.
It's very intense sometimes. And like there's long hours and there's just a lot that you have to kind of like consider that other people don't, like just with like your diet, your like skincare routine, just a lot of things that just go into it. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a lot of pressure?
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of pressure sometimes. Like just, I feel like for me, like through the years, I'm like, they're like, oh, hey, you want to go try this? Nope, I can't do that as a model.
You need that discipline,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Now, question back to what you do. So you said you do professional modeling, acting. Do you want to go a little bit more in details with that?
For me, I felt like when I first started, I was like, oh, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do with the modeling, but there's commercial modeling, there's fit modeling, there's runway, there's a lot of that promotional modeling. There's just a lot out there. So I think for anyone that wants to do it, like just figure out which one is most
and that
like,
fits
yeah,
them
that fits
best.
them. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know there are so many options, right? There's specialties and everything.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. So in order for you to be a successful model, we said you do need to discipline, you do need to have your entrepreneurship skills. So what are some of those skills that you can share with our listeners that have come to help you be successful in what you do?
The way you carry yourself is definitely important. Like you have to be able to sell yourself. And so that's one of the most important things that I've
So you're
learned.
your own brand, actually.
Yes.
So just like a business, you need to worry about your image, what your message is, what you stand for, and all of that.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. How about scheduling and all the day-to-day work that you put in?
For me, I also like do like a big schedule like for the month, and so I figure out what days I can do certain things, what days I can move around and stuff, and then just kind of schedule accordingly like when things come in, because with modeling it can be literally the day of. They'll be like, hey, are you available? Or a week out, a month out, like 2 months out.
So
So
would you say you have come to have great organizational skills and planning and all of that?
I would say, I mean, everyone
you
can
think
use
it's a
some more,
must?
but yeah, I think I've like for me now, and when I first started, it's changed tremendously because I had to get organized. Like it's just no way I could do as much as I do now. And be able to do it. Yeah.
How do you stay organized with that? Do you use a lot of calendars, handwritten notes, or how do you do it?
Yes,
What's your
a lot of Post-its around the house. Yeah, Post-its. I use my phone for notes. I have my Google Calendar. I have a regular calendar. I have a notepad, like endless amounts of things to where, like, for me, I have to write it down. And if I don't, I'll probably forget. And then,
Yes, definitely writing down, putting reminders has been a lifesaver for me too. Yes. Now, what is the best part about being an entrepreneur?
I would say being my own boss and having control. I mean, I like being able to pick yes and no to like certain jobs and stuff and just be more in control of like my future and my destiny.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that. There's just the control factor, right? I think a lot of times we do, although we can't control everything, but as humans, as much ever we can control, it really lets us kind of feel good. I don't know the right terms, but I know it's a psychological
It's a comfort thing.
Yes, it is a comfort thing. And if more we can control, I think the more in control we feel, and therefore I think it leads to more happiness. So that all makes sense. Yeah. I love that. How about the worst part?
I would say the worst part is never having enough time and just trying to just fit everything in because I'm always wanting to do more, and I'm like, okay, how can I do as much as possible?
It's a blessing and a curse being in charge of your own schedule because you can put so much in there.
I can handle that, right? No, wait, when am I going to sleep? Okay, wait, hold on, let me figure this out. Planning and staying organized with all of that, I'm sure it is a must to make sure you don't overwork yourself. Oh, yeah.
What do your friends and family say when you take on too much?
They're like, hey, you can take a break. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, yeah. I literally told my sister, I was like, hey, yeah, you can schedule in next month. We can schedule something, She was like, schedule? I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm already booked this month, okay? Yeah.
So is there something that most people don't know about you or your brand?
Well, I guess it's like a hidden talent. Like, I don't share this with a lot of people, okay? I guess now I do.
I'm curious. Let me know.
Okay, so here, I'll take these off. So I can move my ears.
What?
You can see
they
it?
wiggle?
Yeah. Can it work?
Let's see. They're not wiggling.
Hold on,
Maybe it's that one.
Let's see.
You have to focus. This is a serious talent. There we go. It's starting to move.
Maybe they don't work anymore. It's just my eyebrow.
Am I missing it? Can you see? Is it me?
Like she's zooming in. She's like, I don't get it. I didn't get it.
You know, it's so funny, but my best friend, she always says that's her talent. Ani, she always says, hey, but can you do this?
Yeah.
And I love it, and it just reminded me of that, but her ears move a lot.
Oh
so
man, I gotta work on this hidden talent.
Okay, on the more serious note, what's something that a lot of people don't know about you?
Well, I used to be a preschool teacher.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, so it's totally different from what I was doing, but I love kids, so I think that was probably one of like my most rewarding things that I'd done in my life. And like when I was younger, it was either be a model or be a teacher. I know it sounds so random.
I love it. Yeah, but you know, that was your true calling.
Yeah.
You gave both of it a shot.
Yes,
and
I did.
You chose a path.
Yeah.
But I do remember you mentioning something with what you would love to do, your ultimate like goal or dream.
yes.
That would be with the kids. Can you share that with our listeners?
Of
I think that's
course.
so beautiful.
So initially with me loving kids and then me being like a model and stuff, I was like, well, I guess being a role model would be like the perfect thing. And so just wanting to like get back and like just teach the kids like, hey, if you wanted to come to like maybe like a little camp or something and just set it up to where they can work on their art, whether it be art or just if they're wanting to get into like the industry, music, anything to where they can just work on their art.
And feel like welcome to have a mentor,
just have,
a role model to help them guide through that.
Yeah, just like someone positive in their life that they can just like have fun and just hang out and just
I love that so much. Honestly, it's so important because a lot of times some parents can't be the kids' role models. First, sometimes kids and parents don't have that relationship because of the age gap, especially when they're younger or teenage years. And second, because some parents don't have the time to be able to do so many extracurricular activities with their kids. So it's so important to have like these programs or these places that kids can go and really have somebody who cares and loves them.
And I feel like there's not enough out there. Like I feel like when I was growing up, like I love going to camp and like I could look forward to it like every summer, and I learned so much. Like just like thinking back, I'm like, wow, like I actually learned that during camp, and I'm like just being able to try new things. So
that's awesome.
That's one of my goals out there.
Honestly, I don't know if a lot of people know this. I think I've mentioned it before, but that's one of my ultimate goals to have something like that for children who are not regularly taught how to be successful. So it goes like same type of thing. So it'd be like a center where kids or young adults can come and really learn the life skills needed for them to be successful instead of just in school they don't really teach you.
No, they don't at all.
The specific.
And it's important because I feel like when you become an adult, you're like, what now? What am I supposed to do? Like, how do I figure this out? And so it's just like you're learning on the fly. You're learning from other people, like mentors and stuff like that. But if you have a place that you can start younger, like it's even better.
Amazing. Okay, now having your dream job comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of heartaches and a lot of ups and downs. And honestly, some people won't imagine because some people don't go through those challenges that they face and they decide to give up. But my advice on that, or my view on that, is that okay, if you overcome challenges, you stick it through, more likely or most likely you're gonna turn up and have the dream job or dream life that you do want. You just kind of have to push through, right? So for that reason, I love to ask the question, what challenges have you had, or one main challenge you've had that you had to overcome in order for you to be here today, living day to day and having the job that you really enjoy?
I had to do a lot of just soul searching, I think, and just wanting to know like what my true passion was, because like I said, I was like, hey, let me go try teaching. Maybe that's my passion. Like maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing in my life.
But see, you were asking those questions because most of the time people might not even be asking those questions and searching to see, what do I really want to do?
So true.
It's so hard to really know what you really want to do.
Yeah.
And it's okay for it to change.
Took a break from modeling because I was like, hey, this is where I want to be. Kids, I love being around them. This is my joy. And then
Did something happen with modeling that made you kind of question it and be like, no, this is not right for me?
So when I was younger, I started modeling. And so I was acting and doing like background work. And then I was probably like around like in elementary school and stuff. I was like, hey, like I want to do this and stuff. And I was like really like doing it, like just like trying to like do my best and be like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, and like just kind of like get better every year, all this stuff. And then I felt like, okay, let me focus on my studies and figure out what I want to do. And so I just wanted to see if like the kids and just being like a teacher and stuff was gonna work out. And then I felt like, well, if I'm giving all my energy now to other people's kids, I'm like, am I going to have any for my own? So I was like, let me stop.
Interesting, yeah.
And then I was like, hey, figure it out.
Those kids really push your patience, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They do. But I don't regret anything because I felt like I learned so much from them and they learned so much from me. So it was good. Yeah. So I feel like I took a break from modeling and like just kind of being like overworked and stuff and just wanting to like reevaluate my life and just figure out like, okay. But that didn't happen because
it's like what I really want to do.
Yeah. Literally a gravitational pull of like, where do you think you're going? Come back here. So I was like, okay, I guess this is literally my calling because every time like I went and worked retail for a minute and they were like, oh, you're a model, huh? Yep. Oh, you know who you remind me of? And I was like, yep. And they were like, what are you doing here? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm helping you out. They're like, you don't belong here. And I was like,
come model.
Pretty much. So I was like, okay. So I just got back into it. And then this time around, I was like, okay.
You're going to do it your way.
Yeah, my way. So I'm like, I'm unsigned. I'm a freelance model. And like, I felt like the stuff I've learned before being a signed model, I was like, no one's going to work as hard as yourself. So I'm like, I can push myself harder than they can ever push me. Mm-hmm. And I can book as many jobs, do as much stuff because I know how much I can handle now being in the industry for so long.
So you can manage your own self.
Yeah. Definitely.
Wow. Initially, when you were doing it, when you were younger, you know, you got tired, you needed to take a break, and then when you came back to it, what was different? Well, you said you were managing yourself, so but what kind of changed in you when you were able to have that control over your own career? Where like, okay, no, I love this. Like a light bulb moment where you're like, no, I'm gonna do this my way. Because I'm sure a lot of people do want to follow what they love and they're working so hard to be able to get to that point, but they do get challenges or those voices in their head where it's like, okay, no, this is harder than I thought, or this is maybe not right for me. So
yeah, definitely I have like my good days, bad days, because I think just being in the industry, any industry, you're gonna have those like second guess and like that negative always, like just in your back of your head, like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe like another person's gonna just get it or do this or do that, and it's just like you are always gonna have that.
Of course, yeah, I have that all the time still, pretty regularly. So have to learn to kind of
just block it out
and change your gear to think about the positives instead of all the little worries that sneak up in our heads. Like, go away.
So true. My like personal challenge was my confidence in not being afraid. Like that's something that I don't know, like I think a switch went off. It was like, what are you afraid of? Like just go do it. Like the worst thing that someone can say is no, honestly.
Of course,
like that's how I feel.
And so you mentioned confidence and what was the word you mentioned? Confidence and fear, right?
Yes.
So, like doing more and more research about, because I'm really big on, okay, what makes somebody successful no matter what they do. And it really does come down to that like, if you look at it deep enough, it does come down to working on yourself, your confidence, and really like trying to go for it and not have that fear or how to deal with those negative emotions that are fear or worry. So, so for you just realized that you needed to work on your confidence and just what's the worst that could happen, right? It's almost like a reminder to us of what's the worst that could happen, and people are going to say no, might as well try.
Yeah, so true.
But it's beautiful how honestly things go hand in hand, because at first we're so afraid, right? Yeah. But then we're like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? We take one little baby step, and then you're like, oh, that was wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I got this. So then your confidence goes a little bit more
Yeah.
up. Then the next time you're like, okay, well, if it worked out that time, I could try again.
Yeah.
Right? So it's almost, it's tough because it's like, what came first? You know, the confidence or going for it to gain the confidence.
Yes.
But I guess my advice, I'll be very interested to hear what your advice is. My advice is just literally try to have someone or yourself just push yourself, and as you keep trying, things get easier, right?
Yes,
and as with
definitely.
little wins and successes, your confidence goes up. And then once you're confident, you build that confidence and you're at a place where like, okay, most likely everything's going to work out my way compared to it not, then everything becomes a lot easier. Then we're more likely to take risks and to do more and try more and all of that. What do you think can be initial way to try to build confidence? Because I think, like we said, if that's kind of our base foundation to build that and not be afraid and go for it, what advice do you have for our listeners that could help with the confidence factor?
Okay, well, for me as a model, I work on this all the time because I think, you know, if you walk the walk, you know, you're going to look like everyone's going to see it and come like it's just going to shine through you, right? So I mean, it may be a little conceited, but I love being able to like just go ahead and like look in the mirror and just like talk to yourself and just say, hey, like kind of like do like a pep talk and be like, you got this, like you know what you're doing, like, hey, like, yeah, just more of like, you have to be your biggest cheerleader.
Visual, to kind of visually put yourself in that role so then you can feel it. Actually, that's great. Yeah. You know what advice I had in the past and what I did, now thinking back, what I did at one point was literally waking up and dressing up. For me, it was, you know, the entrepreneurship. So I would wake up, no matter how tired, lazy I was, I would still put on my nice professional makeup. I would do my hair. I would put on my cute, like, little suit. Yeah. And I would look at myself and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Gonna be
when you look good, you feel good, you start building that confidence.
You're right. I had forgotten. That's a great, we've talked about it in the past, but you know, we need reminders. I had forgotten that initial
it's like a little baby step, you know, like something so little can just start changing your mindset and like just how you feel.
And honestly, that's why initially I fell in love with beauty too, being in the beauty industries, because even that little thing that nobody needs it. I think everybody's beautiful the way they are, but for ourselves, when we have that little tiny boost that makes us a little extra beautiful, you know, it does make a difference. It really does. So I'm glad you are sharing that with our listeners, and hopefully you guys out there will get up, put on your makeup and I don't know, your outfit that makes you feel powerful, and do like a little what
like
is it
power
called?
pose in the mirror.
Pose, 2 minutes, you know, we're gonna hold it for 2 minutes and be like, oh, you got this.
You just gotta like be your cheerleader.
Yes, you know, and if you can find someone, you know, pay them to tell you how perfect you are.
I mean, always have like that person that hypes you up, like call that person. That person needs to be there with you, like something. You need to have your personal cheerleader, of course.
You're right. Actually, I was joking about paying them, but you should know who your true like motivating people are, like
in your life. Definitely.
So I know there's like 1 or 2 people for sure. If I call them, I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling myself. If I call her and be like, hey, this is what's going on, I know 100% she's literally gonna be my cheerleader. So that's good to have.
Yes.
Recently I was listening to, I don't know, it was a podcast or something. I was listening to something, I think on YouTube, and it came up. So I was reading a book, and this is the book I'm reading to do the research on the self-confidence, like how to build it.
Okay, I need this book. So.
I think it's called Unstoppable Self-Confidence. Okay. And, you know, the tagline is what the 1% that are successful or the rich, like, do in order, you know, to be there. But I started reading this book because as I did more research and I talked more about it, it kind of came down to that base, like, okay, for someone, you know, once you have a little confidence and you build up on it, it gets easier and easier and easier, and we talked about that. But some of my audience and some people that are listening and some people that I know personally in my life, they need a place to start where like it's very discouraging, or they're not motivated at all and they're not confident at all. But for those of us that are kind of there, where do we start if we're there? So that's kind of why I started doing that research. But this is or reading that book, and this is one thing that it kind of mentioned there. I'm like, that is totally true. I think half the time people mistake like self-love, self-confidence for conceitedness. And all our lives, we are told that, you know, don't be full of yourself, be humble, be this. They're like, you don't have to show off and all of that. But then now really thinking about it, like, we need to find the balance of that and really, like, love ourselves and say, it's okay for me to say, I feel beautiful, like a little narcissism.
But it's sad because a lot of people, they can't do that. Like, they literally cannot do that. They can't just say, I look good. They're always like focused on the negative things. They spot out little things on them. They're like, oh, I don't like this about myself. That's kind of like where the whole thing comes from. Like, wanting to fix something that they don't like. And it's like, no. Work with what you got and be good.
Yes, and like I said, for like some people listening to this, they might be like, well, it's easy for you to say, you know, I'm sure. And some people are going to say, oh, you're right. But that's kind of what it comes down to, you know, and that's a whole other podcast that I'm still kind of doing research work. So I want to make sure it's going to be a really good one that can help everybody work on their confidence. But that was the thing. It's like the first step is we need to accept that it's totally okay for us to love ourselves and say it and mention it, because that's what's going to nurture it. And just getting that thought out of our head that this is being conceited or I don't know, like full of yourself, all of that, we need to forget about that. Definitely. Obviously, there's a way to do it. You don't want to just go like and act all ridiculous, but definitely it's okay for you to say the simple fact. I want everybody to practice this. Like if I tell you look so beautiful today, you're just going to say, oh, thank you. You're going to accept it and you're going to say thank you instead of saying, oh, really? No, I was having a bad, you know, don't find excuses, accept it, say like really find a way to love yourself. And like I said, whole other podcast, sometimes it's way easier said than done. I've been in those places sometimes. I understand. So we'll discuss that in details, but initial thing I want you guys to work on is know that it's okay to love yourself and just put that in your vocabulary that, hey, I love myself. I'm going to give myself compliments, and that's okay. And sometimes we also said you kind of have to look the part or fake it to make it. Yeah,
fake it to make it, definitely.
If you have to look at yourself and say, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful, if you say it enough times, you're going to start feeling it.
Yeah, you're going to believe it, and you're like, other people are going to start seeing it and just knowing that, hey, your confidence is going to shine through.
We talked about you being in the modeling industry since you were little. So for those people that are interested, how did you kind of get started in your field?
So I actually got scouted like when I was little and like at the mall actually. So
nice.
Yeah,
reminds me of the movies.
Yeah, literally kind of like out of a movie. Like so, like my mom was just there, and then like my sisters were there, and then some lady.
Did you have family that were in the industry? Or
no, well, my grandma, she like did like a couple like movies here and there, and like just like back in the day, like she was probably like my inspiration, and like still is today. Like we actually, her nickname is Hollywood.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
I'm like mini Hollywood now. I'm like stealing her name, so she's like, she'll call me, oh hey Miss Hollywood, and I'm like, oh hey Hollywood. So yeah,
so cute.
Yeah, definitely from her. I think that's where it kind of like sparked my like interest. So just seeing how like she was and she carried herself. So yeah, definitely from her.
So that's really nice. You got into it from when you were a kid where you kind of didn't really know much about it, but then it ended up being what you loved and what you went back to.
Yeah, I had fun like doing it as a kid, and I was like, wow, like just being able to experience it young, like it was nice to just be on set and like being able to like explore different places and just going like different locations and stuff.
So you had a positive experience with it as a kid. Okay, because that's also one thing, you know, I hear that I hear with kids. It's like, be careful, like you don't want your kid to be like any way traumatized because they have too much pressure as a kid actor or a model. So I'm happy to hear
it was positive. Like it wasn't positive. Too much to where it was like I was getting taken out of school and I was missing a whole bunch of school and stuff. It was like more of like, hey, do you want to do this role? Like we have something coming up. So it was always like something to look forward to, and I was like,
okay,
a
good balance.
Yes,
so you're
definitely had to do good in school in order to do it. So that was good.
I love that. I love that. Because honestly, my son, he's kind of a little actor. So I like considering him. I'm like, am I gonna mess him up? Am I gonna put too much pressure on?
I feel like ask him, try it out if it's something that he wants to do, and then
once he can form sentences.
Yes.
He's only 2.
Oh.
Here's another question. So what do you think most people need to know before they start their own business?
They need to know exactly what they're wanting to do and how they're going to go about it. Because I think being organized, of course, and just being able to figure out like, hey, I'm going to go down this route and I'm going to get to this point, and then kind of like figure out your next steps, like have like a game plan. Definitely.
Yeah, honestly, that's so important. There's a saying that, most of what we do is the planning. And it's true, because if we do have a great plan and it's very clear to where we want to go, we're going to be able to get there, right? We're going to be able to do one thing at a time from that plan. It's almost, I like the metaphor, honestly. It's almost like driving a car and having a destination. If you don't have a specific path, make a right here, make a left here, and then drive for 2 miles and you get to your location. If we don't have that specific turn-by-turn directions, there's so many other ways we might be able to get there, but it may take a lot longer. Or if we don't have a plan at all to where we want to get, then we're just going to drive and who knows where we'll end up, right?
So true. I like that metaphor.
I've used it in the past, and it's just such a clear image. It's like, okay, I need to know exactly where I'm going and the steps I'm going to take. What path am I going to take to get there? But I also want to let the listeners know that sometimes it's okay to have a plan and a general plan, but not know our exact steps, but kind of at least have an idea of where we want to end up, and then work on the steps kind of like as we go, right? At least take the first step.
It's okay to go like the long route sometimes, or just trying things out, because you're gonna always want to get a feel for different things, because you end up finding something that you're really good at and you stick to it and you become successful.
Yes, and if we're not open to new opportunities, and if our plan is a little too detailed, like no, it has to be like this and that's it, then we may miss out on some new opportunities that may come along the way. So so have a plan, but also be a little flexible. All right, so here's an identity question. So a lot of times, our kind of personal lives and our work lives can go hand in hand, but at sometimes, if you are your own brand, kind of like for yourself and you're modeling, your image is your brand. Now, how do you manage that with social media?
For the most part, it's very important to kind of like stay on brand and like what you're trying to have come across online, because the internet is forever. And so you're always wanting to like put your best foot forward and just be able to present yourself in like a positive light all the time. Just being on the internet and just having like to be in that social scene and stuff, I think keeping your private life separate is like the best thing. Like you see some celebrities, like they don't post like their children or just like certain things like their location, it's just like, certain things you just have to keep private. So, yeah.
So for you personally, how do you manage your social media? Do you just keep it focused on your modeling career, or do you have 2 separate accounts, or how does that, how are you personally managing it?
I definitely have 2 personal accounts. So I have one strictly for like my modeling, my behind the scenes, like just any and everything that I'm doing in the model.
Brand.
Yes, that is my actual brand. And then my other one is kind of like more like, it's still like not personal stuff, but it's like more of like my personality, I would say, and just being able to like, I like doing like little like clothing try on hauls and like just like showing like I actually like do like art and stuff. So like just being able to like show like that I am like more creative, but just kind of a little bit off brand, I guess.
Well, no, it sounds like it's that when you show more of your personal interest, but you still keep in mind, I still have a brand, which is my personal brand that I'm representing. So still kind of ask twice, okay, is this something that I want the whole world to see, And honestly, that's such a challenge, because we also want to be organic and want to be ourselves, like 100%. Sometimes we want to say everything that comes to our mind. Sometimes that's hard and challenging. But somebody else had shared with me, honestly, is like, okay, if you're ever questioning, should I share this? Should I post this or not? Give it a day. And then the next day, if you still feel like you want to share it, then do it. Like, don't do it just spur of the moment, you know? So that's kind of what I've been trying to follow. But I think I'm currently kind of working on that too. I'm like, okay, how much do I want to share? How much do I not want to share? I have like my personal page. Now I have the podcast page. I have the beauty page. Do I want a different salon page?
I mean, hey, have as many pages as you want.
But then we have to manage all that. Too much work. So I think everybody just has to kind of find their balance. And I think for me personally too, that's kind of what I've done too, is just try to really like be true to myself with my brand, so then I don't have to try so hard to pretend to be who I'm not on social media.
And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like so many people have these personas of like, oh, I'm living this life or doing this and that, and it's like, are you really though? I'm like, but are you really happy? Are you like, are you really doing these things? And so I think, just staying true to yourself and just showing like what you love to do. I think people are going to see that and like know, oh yeah, she's like cool, and like, I want to follow her and stuff.
I think that too. I think a lot of times we're our worst critic, then we were afraid of what people are going to think and say. But I've been paying attention a lot to actually some people's pages that I've been following. I've been paying attention. The more they kind of share more of their true selves, but then they're more natural and organic, I feel like their followers or people react way better to that compared to somebody who's really just trying to keep this perfect persona as well. So it's so tricky, but very interesting. But
they like to like see a little bit of like your personality and stuff. So like that's what I'm definitely working on now. I'm like, hey, I want to like, you know, let loose a little, but still be on brand and like
I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Question for you though. So and I always like bringing this up because sometimes we give social media or people, like I feel like I personally don't, but I think a lot of people give social media way more power than it needs, and it holds them back. So and I want to share this because a lot of times I see people are really stressed and they're just really not following like what they're supposed to do to be successful or for them to actually get stuff done for their job, but instead they're worried about having a following or growing their likes and comments, right? That's a part of it, but at the same time, if we just focus on that, we really miss out on our actual talents, our actual job, our actual work. And I do want to share, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Initially, when I had my full service salon, it was doing really good. They had like 10 girls there. Everybody was fully booked. We were having so many clients, so all this great stuff. I think I only had on the Yegi Beauty page like 300 to 400 followers, and that's it. And a lot of times people now look at it like, oh, you know, I need to have a following in order for me to have a successful business or for me to make money. And that's really not the case in my situation. That had like, it didn't really relate. Obviously it helps and it's just a little part of it, but there's so much more that could go into what makes you successful or what makes your business grow. So how about for you? Do you feel like you need a following or any certain I guess you need to be in any certain place on social media for you to be booked and busy with your gigs?
I feel like for me, I think it's like the quality I bring to like my social media too, and I think like they'll see the work for itself. Like I don't really worry about the numbers game and stuff like that. I think just building like the connections, like when I'm in person and just being able to have those opportunities to show myself like in person, I think that's the most important, and just being able to like shine through that way. And just, I mean, so social media, I have like a love-hate relationship with. It's always because you're like, okay, worry about this, do this. And it's kind of stressful just having to manage all this and then manage like just my jobs and all the stuff that I'm trying to do. And I'm like, I need a whole nother person to do that. So yeah, it's a lot. So I try to just do as
Give
much
it
as I can.
Attention, but not make it your
just post some like quality stuff and then just kind of leave it there.
But for you to get your gigs and jobs, you said a lot of times it's like when you go in person, that's how they get to know you.
They just fall in love. They're just like, oh, you're amazing. I mean, not all the time, but you know, like, I try to just, you know, just work on them. Like,
you're very lovable.
But yeah, I think just, you know, because I feel like for me, the confidence thing, I worked on it and just, I mean, some days you just got to fake it. But, hey, they don't know, They
have to act like you're having a great day.
Exactly.
But like you said, putting our best foot forward, and honestly, even when we don't feel like it, putting that smile on. If we're having issues in our personal lives, don't take it out on the people you're working with, the connections you're having,
Because, that can mess you up and be like, oh, I missed, and like burn bridges and stuff.
Yes,
and like,
you
don't
never
do that.
know who that one person you're going to come across that could give you so many opportunities versus you just having a bad day and being moody and just complaining about anything in life and basically not kind of messing up that connection that you could have built for you to get more opportunities.
Yes, exactly.
So I think like bottom line is just be a good, happy, positive, because it's so much easier said than done.
I know.
But we all have to work on ourselves, but prioritize those things. Try to, like we said, put your best foot forward and really like be happy and optimistic. And even if you kind of have to fake it if you're on a job, you have to kind of do that in order for you to have a good experience or get more gigs.
Yes, yeah.
I lost my train of thought a little there, but I think everybody gets what I'm trying to say. Be happy and positive and optimistic. Stop being negative. Yeah. Okay, no, I'm not yelling at you guys. Love you guys. Okay. When you first started in the modeling industry, what were some of the things that surprised you about it?
When I first initially started, I ended up starting with runway and doing more of the high fashion stuff, and I did not know how much you had to be on your feet and just the long hours.
You have very strong calves, don't you?
Yeah, I work those out often. Yeah, so
get some foot massage.
And just having patience, because you're on set for so long, and just being able to have that patience and just being kind of more of accommodating and stuff, not being such a diva and just you find those people out there, but I feel if you're the most accommodating and you're just kind of going with the flow and everyone's working hard, don't be extra.
Yes. So how do you balance that? Because you also don't want to be too nice either, because you don't want people to take advantage of you. And I think modeling industry is kind of one of those industries too. You really kind of have to set your ground too, so people take you seriously, right?
Yeah, and definitely setting boundaries and just knowing I can say no. And I think that's something that people don't really realize when they first get started, because they're like, oh, well, this is a good opportunity. But then you have to look hey, this is going to stick with you, and how long, and what is it going to affect? If you actually do something or do this job and say, hey, sometimes I've said no to a lot of jobs, and I'm no, it's kind of an ethical thing where I'm this isn't me.
It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. So I'm no, I'll send 100 emails before I'm no, this doesn't sound like something I want to do.
Perfect. And honestly, saying no sometimes it's a lot hard. It's a lot harder than it seems.
Definitely.
And we all need to work on saying no, because initially too, when we get started, and I'm guilty of this, when I initially started in the beauty industry, it was hard for me to say no to any services. I guess I'll do anything, everything for as cheap. Let me just build my business. It's part desperation, parts hard work. You want to do what it's going to take to be successful. But I learned the hard way to know. You need to protect your time, yourself, and you need to learn to say no.
Yeah. And knowing your worth too.
Yeah. So
just being able to know your worth and know hey, I can do way better than what I'm doing right now, and just know that the opportunities are going to come. They're going to come and go. It's going to just always be something out there for you.
And it's what you're going to feed that you're going to have more of. So if you're going to feed the better quality jobs, that's what you're going to end up with more compared to just saying yes to everything and then
so true.
Not being happy with what you're saying yes to. Yeah. So definitely we all need to work on our way of saying no, and I think that's a skill as well. So pay attention, and if you find yourself that you're one of those people who have a hard time saying no, literally Google how do I say no, and there's different strategies. So some people, it's hard for them to just say oh no, and then you can work on saying
polite ways. There's ways to say no without even saying no.
Yes. I would really love this opportunity, but my calendar right now is currently so packed. I will take down your information and get back to you if anything opens up.
Perfect.
So, and that, nobody's upset, and you're protecting your time for whatever. And that's another example for that is if I say yes to everything, even if the things that are not as important, I'm going to fill up my calendar. And if I've dedicated myself to something, I've said yes, I'm not going to just cancel last minute, because again, that's part of my work ethic. But at the same time, if you're already committed to something and a better opportunity comes up at that day time, you know, you may not even be in the same state when that opportunity comes. So sometimes leaving your schedule open versus saying yes to all the little things that you have to do is better. So
yeah, it's always like give and take, especially like with the industry. You're just like, okay, well, if I do this, I'm like, okay, next time I'll like try to like have more availability for like the next one, or always like reschedule if you can. Like that's important.
So obviously modeling your own brand, and you're physically involved in it. So it's your business, it's what you do. So are you planning, or what are the plans for the future as a career for a model? Like, do you have to think long term, or what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like with modeling, it's such a wide range, and I feel like there's so many different avenues. Like I started doing like runway and just like more like beauty modeling and stuff, and now I'm doing like fit modeling, which is totally different, but it's something that is very interesting, and like I didn't even know about it like when I first started. And so I would say like just like being able to capitalize on opportunities and making opportunities for myself, and just being able to connect with like amazing people like you. And just being able to have something and a goal that you're like going to like reach for, because I feel like with modeling, like there's such a wide range that you can do, and just trying different avenues. Like for me, I'm wanting to get more into acting, and so that's like my next new thing that I'm going to try. And just
that. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I have like my acting class coming up, so I'm excited to
nice. So you're taking classes and working on yourself, which is what I love. You know, I love doing that myself too. And
just being over dramatic all the time now.
You know, we have to work for what we have, and naturally, not everybody's naturally good at everything, and I think that's what we need to accept and get education or help on. Whatever.
I'm always learning like how I can do my job better, and just knowing that there's different things I can do in the industry too. So it's nice.
Oh, I love that. So that's a long-term plan right now to get into more acting.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you be great at it, Miss Hollywood. Junior Hollywood.
Yeah,
Don't take your grandma's title. All right. Well, that wraps up our interview. It has been such a pleasure. But tell people, where can they find you if they want to book you or work with you, or even just connect as a friend, because you're so awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
But besides that, also last words of encouragement. So where could they find you, and last words of encouragement for our listeners?
Okay. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and then also like I have my like email listed, and then soon I'll be on YouTube.
Oh, nice. Looking forward to that. Well, we will have all that information for you, so make sure to check her out, connect with her, and until next time, bye. Yes.
Oh, wait, my words of encouragement.
Oh, no, bye.
Come back.
Don't hang up. Oh, not hang up. Don't turn off your screen or whatever you're listening on. Okay, go ahead.
I would say to just work on your confidence, and if you're wanting to get into the modeling industry, just know that you don't have to be a certain height, weight, size, anything. Like, just shine through, and anything is possible.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. Yes, can't wait to see you soon. Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.